never lost our sense of what's truly important. The great taste of Charleston Chew.
It's gonna be terrible.
Hello and welcome to Best of the Bottom, where bottom shelf people drinking bottom shelf booze. I'm the Reverend JP, and this is
Man.
And are you ready for me to drag up old stuff in the past and discuss some traumatic times in my life? Because if you are, you came to the right place. Dan, are you ready for this?
Yep, that's why I come here every week.
Do you have your 2 cents to put in on this as well?
In theory, yeah.
Do you have at least a whole dollar saved up? Because tonight, we're going to get into the most chaotic relationship that I have ever had in my entire existence, and is the whole reason why I no longer date white women. And you know what you've done. There's still no apology from me. So, yeah, buckle up, buttercups. It's going to be a ride. We're still going to at least get a Florida man in. I don't have any booze in the news because I feel like this is going to take a while. But we will still most definitely have time for the bag of doom. You see, in this bag, it is full of doom. And we must drink said doom for once we place our hand within the destiny that is this purple sack. You might need to see a doctor if your sack is purple. Although now it's becoming translucent. So, gravity's a thing. Man, reach into this purple sack of doom. I shall reach into the sack of doom.
99 peaches. Yay.
Yeah, the best flavor. I got Western Sun Lime. So before this, hey Vargas, I know why you're here. You want to hear about my misery too. I said I would do it, and I've done it. I actually went all the way back to my Facebook history to track the timeline to figure out how this shit happened. And I'm gonna do my best to remember everything, but we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. In the meantime, cheers to traumatic events.
To traumatic events.
The lime tastes a lot less like cleaning products than the lemon. But that is true. That is very true. But I'm gonna preface this before I get started. There's gonna be a lot of crazy shit to talk about, some depressing things to talk about, some mental health issues to talk about. I just want to, put a little warning out here. Things are going to get really weird, really intense. Now, and I don't want to just completely be like shitting on this girl. At heart, I think she's a decent person, but there's just been a lot of shit that has corrupted her. And in kind of this timeline, you'll kind of see how things have improved and things got shitty. And there was a certain person that was involved that made the shitty things happen. And when the good things would happen, she was not involved in her life. So we'll get into that. I don't don't want to just completely be like, this is, yeah, I just don't want to completely just shit on her. Because in life, there's a lot more complicated things at hand than just the forefront. This was my experience and the things that happened in our relationship. And this is the whole, caveat, the warning, the all that shit. Well, I do feel as though I encourage that this show should be watched without pants. It's just, it just seems this is a no pants watching show.
I'm not wearing pants. Are you wearing pants?
I've never worn pants on this show.
I know. I mean,
I only have to cover the top half. But before we get on to that, we do have at least one regularly scheduled program. Because on this very special episode of Best of the Bottom, we will discuss heartbreak, tragedy, and relationships, and how you can avoid some of these pitfalls. Maybe some advice will be answered. Maybe I'll just get drunk and go ranting. I don't know. But first, it's time for this week's adventures of Florida Man. You see, what I like to do is I read a Florida Man headline and then just make up the story. Or in some cases, I have experienced a Florida Man thing in my real life when I lived in Florida, and I created the rest of the story. On this week's Adventures of Florida Man, a Florida man named Redbeard steals $1,800 parrot and abandons it. If you look back a few episodes ago, I may have told the story of a young prospect into the Navy who was looking forward to attending, I forgot the name of the school, the Annapolis? It's a Navy military officer school. He came from a lineage of admirals in his family. And this man had made a mistake. And he lit an artillery shell and it blew up in his face, blew his eye out, and he decided to pursue a new adventure, sailing the high seas, a pirating for that booty. Yes, for soon after this happened, he grew the most what? Oh, are you dealing with cats? The most luxurious red beard you had ever seen in your life. This man had fulfilled his dream of pirating the booty all day and all night, just like all night long, all night. Anyways, just like the good Lord intended. And he grew his long, luxurious, beautiful beard. He went out of pirating. He went out of bootying. But he realized he missed a companion. He was missing a close personal friend. And for he went and pillaged that pet store. Jerry did not see it coming. That is a very insider joke, and you got to live in this town to know who Jerry's pet shop was. It was a delightful store in the mall. But he stole this parrot, and he took him on as his friend. But on his first adventure, he realized this parrot would not shut the fuck up. And he went on and on and on and on about how the Fruit Loops have denigrated the good name of parrots, taking a toucan instead of a parrot, and he just had such an issue with it. He had an affinity for leprechauns, It was just a whole thing. He could not stand it. It just went on and on. And you're stuck in a cabin. You're below deck. You're not seeing any daylight. You're getting the scurvy because you forgot to get oranges. And just on and on about toucans and how they're disrespecting the parrots. They're holding them down, taking all the good cereals. Meanwhile, they got to be marshmallow mateys. Ugh. It gets grating. So one day, they were out in the Bahamas, just bootying it up. Booty everywhere. And he took his faithful parrot. He still loved him. But the whole thing on the toucans was just too much. So he told him he'd go find some other lovely parrots. Went to a lovely refuge. Got him liquored up. He was hanging out with the other parrots and just slipped out the back door and went on his next adventure. And the poor parrot was abandoned. He left a note, though, talking about he needs to get over his hatred of toucans. It's embarrassing and it's just ridiculous. And you know what? We're pirates. You should be happy with marshmallow mateys. Yes, granted, they come in a bag at the bottom shelf at the grocery store. But you know what? They taste just fine. And the parrot cried. He wept. For that moment, he realized he needed to grow and work on himself as a parrot. And to this day, Redbeard sails the seas, playing a sad, sad song. Follow your nose wherever it goes. Toucan, son of Sam, toucan. And yes. See.
Okay, yeah.
You missed some of that. How did you feel about it?
For missing some of it, I think it was fantastic. I would never know that I missed anything.
But I'm also starting to feel like the Florida man is just pirate man because all my Florida mans end up in a pirate situation. So I think I'm discovering a lot about myself. I don't know what yet, but I'll let you know in further episodes.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know.
What does that mean, Justin?
I don't know.
So you like pirates?
It's complicated. It's complicated. But it's gonna be time to get onto our beverage because I'm gonna need a drink. I'm gonna need a stiff drink. I've actually had 3 shots already. Mostly because I'm gonna peek back the curtain a little bit. Usually before the show, me and Diane have a little pre-shot for the show. Just something a little delightful, loosen us up, get us ready to go. And I could have swore we did cheers and said a whole thing and took a shot. Apparently, I just made the whole thing up in my head and took the shot. Because I had to take 2 shots back to back because I'm trying to prepare myself for this. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about. And I've been trying to figure out how to start. So once we get through what we're going to be talking about, what we're drinking, I'm just going to start at the beginning of the story. That started in the summer of 2011. Well, towards the end of the summer of 2011. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. So, tonight we're going to be drinking Oak Leaf Sweets. Diane asked, why did I pick this out? I said, it was $2.98. That's why I picked this out. It's 8.5 ABV. Oak Leaf, we've drank some Oak Leaf products before, and they were pretty good. And I feel like this shouldn't let us down. But I don't know. Oak Leaf is a pretty solid, cheap wine. You can get one of the big bottles of wine for like, was it under $9? I think they're usually like 8 something. Of course, I don't know. In this economy,
This economy, who knows?
ugh,
$8 bottles of wine become $12 bottles of wine.
ugh. Ugh. All right. I got it open. But this is hopefully not a disappointing wine. I don't think it will.
What even are our channel?
That is true. That is very true. Cheap stuff, usually good booze, good buzz, bad hangover. And I expect nothing less. So let me pour this wine into my unicorn and then sit right back. And I shall tell you a tale of 3 little pigs and a big bad wolf. Bam, 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 na, 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 na. Okay, sorry. Green Jello reference is out the ass tonight. I don't know why. What's happening?
Keep them coming. We'll see how many you can get.
We'll see. Let's take a sip, and then we will take a journey.
Did you say
Cast
shit?
our minds
No, I'm just kidding.
back to 2011 when Obama was president and stuff was not as shitty as it is now. Let's take a sip while we cast our minds back to a time of yore, a simpler time. Not bad. It's got some tropical notes in there, which it should be. It's a tropical white, which is the worst kind of people.
What? Tropical white? Okay.
Sorry, you know who you are.
You definitely taste pineapple.
But it's fair. Honestly, pineapple and coconut are the main notes I'm getting.
I'm not really a fan of either.
Well, yeah, like I said, worst kind of people. But it's a delightful beverage. And hopefully it will help me with the right kind of buzz for all the stuff we're going to get into.
I wish it was cold.
What?
That's a me problem.
So now that we established it's a delightful wine, tropical white are the worst kind of people. Let's get into the situation at hand. Last week, I don't know how we got on the subject, but we had talked about a previous ex. And we will call her Becky with an I. Why? Because I'm not going to use real names. I'm going to obscure some of the dates a little bit because let's it's going to be easy to figure out if you know who I am. I don't need extra stuff. But this particular,
we were expecting dates, like
well,
we didn't that much detail.
I'm not going to get to that much detail, but because one of the things is, remember last week I had said it was like a 5-year relationship, And you said, I don't think it was that long. And I said, well, it felt that long. I broke it down. Summer of 2011 to spring of 2016. Then back together, summer of 2013. Ended fall of 2013. Final ending. Done. Yes. But it started, so she was younger than me. There was 9 years difference. I was 27. She was 18. I want to say, yeah. Yeah, she would have been 18. And I had been separated, going through divorce. I hadn't dated anybody I hadn't been involved in other relationship for well over a year when I got a message on the Facebook from this person so working as a paramedic, sometimes you'd have EMT students come and ride with you. And she friended me on Facebook. And then eventually she sent me a text message saying that she thought I was cute and I was interested. And I was like, okay, well, whenever you finish school, we'll talk about maybe dating. Because right now, if you're going to be third riding with me, we can't have a relationship because I'm not going to be biased on anything. And she said, okay. So it was a friendly relationship. She considered doing third rides with me, so I could teach her the ways of the force. Shortly after she finished her rides, she messaged me saying, hey, I'm done with my rides. And we started talking. We had a few little flings, a little time. I don't know. Just trying to, you know, things were happening. It was supposed to be just casual relationship. It was like casual for a week. Then all of a sudden she calls me. She shows up at my house. She's upset. She's crying. All her stuff is in her car. She's like saying her mom got pissed off, kicked her out. She has nowhere to go, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Stay here and we'll see how things go. So I let her move in. After a week of knowing this girl, should have been red flag number one. But you know what? I was lonely. She was cute. She was interested in me. I had low self-esteem at the time. I was drinking way too much prior to this. Actually, no, I think I stopped drinking a little bit. I don't know. I did not make the best decisions when I was like, I'm also just a nice guy. I didn't want to see her out on her ass. So it was a handful of things. She moves in with me, and at the time, everything seemed fine. You know, she was good. We're talking, hanging out with my kids. She helped me around the house. We had a good relationship. You know, things were good. Things seemed good. Then I had to go off and go to my cousin's wedding. Well, I didn't have to go. Well, I kind of had to go because it's part of the wedding. I was one of the groomsmen, and I had a banging tuxedo. I mean, I look good in a tuxedo. I'm just sorry. It's just facts, okay? I'm just stating the facts. I look good in a tuxedo. It was a wedding. I like dressing up. You know what? Fuck you if you have a problem with it. So go off, have a lovely time at the wedding. At the same time, I'm kind of stressed. She's over here in my house. Don't really know much about her. As far as I know, everything was fine. I don't know. Rush back, spent time with her. Months go by. Next thing you know, the love word is getting thrown around. Things are getting serious. And that's about the time some of the darkness slowly started creeping out. Now, first off, there's going to be a lot of shit that gets dark. And this is one of the things that is hard to deal with. I don't know if dealt with anybody that's had an eating disorder, but that started rearing its head. just little inklings. I'd come over to your house. We'd have dinner with mom and you guys and have a delightful time. All of a sudden, she'd be in the bathroom for a really long time. It was like, okay, so we'd talk about things, and sure enough, she's still struggling with disordered eating. And during those times when she was kicked out of the house as far as we know, and she was not talking with her mother, everything was fine. After a few months, she started talking with her mother again. That's when she started locking herself in the bathroom after every meal. First real hint of a red flag. Well, actually, second hint of a red flag. The whole getting kicked out of the house. I still feel like there's more to that than I'm aware of. Dan, how did you feel about this whole situation in the beginning? This is the part where you say something.
Sorry, I can hear everybody talking out there, and I got distracted.
In the beginning, we'd come over, have dinner. Everything was cool. Eventually, I don't know if you noticed when she started locking herself in the bathroom after every
Oh
meal.
yeah, it was a big not a big conversation because that sounds shitty, but yeah, everybody noticed right away because everybody knew she had a problem. She had talked about it before.
Yeah,
So then, when she started locking herself in the bathroom for long periods of time, she was eating pretty well, and then she started locking herself in the bathroom. Everybody was like, "Okay."
yeah. Which at that time, it was very much the relationship seemed good, but obviously there's some issues that she's dealing with. I
I think
mean,
even mom even like talked to her about it.
yeah, I believe so. And things kind of progressed along okay. As things progressed and I had to start dealing with her side of the family, that's when things started really getting weird. Like her sister was fucking nuts in all the weirdest, like the weirdest dynamic of that whole relationship in that family. Okay, so the mother looks at Becky with an eye and is like overprotective, just like this hovering, like everything is you shouldn't do this. It just overprotective in a weirdest way. Very Munchausen's by proxy situations going on, you know. And there has been some recorded data that should have warned me ahead of time, but I thought, no, 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 it's just a misunderstanding. And this will play in a later story. But the other daughter, the youngest one, who was like in middle school at the time, just does whatever. She apparently during this time it was okay, and the daughter said, "No, you can date this dude that is 26 and in the military." She was in middle school, had a bunch of fake online dating profiles, meeting random dudes in the military, lying about her age. And the weirdest thing is with this dude, the family, everybody let him know that she is in middle school. And you know what he said? Okay.
I feel like back in the day, uh, dating stuff like that was really easy because I had a friend in high school who was on a bunch of dating stuff, and she was underage.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if it's even still that difficult because they don't like required to prove your age.
I always wondered about that because I remember in high school, like my friend, she was on all the dating stuff.
Yeah. But the biggest thing that was I thought was nuts is The family was perfectly okay with their middle school daughter dating this 26-year-old military dude.
Mhm.
But our relationship of consenting age was always a freaking issue. Also, facts. And the mother was just such a fucking cunt about all kinds of shit. And then her dad, like I knew her dad previously because he used to work for the same company I was working for as an EMT when I had first started. And he would, and he knew Diane, Deborah, or Black. And he insisted on playing all this horrible, horrible country music that was racist as fuck just to see if I would get pissed off and fight him. Red flag number, I don't know, I think we're at 53 now. At least in my head. I'm trying to break through some of these things. And but like even to this day, the biggest thing that I still keep coming back to is I still wonder, was she actually kicked out?
I would say probably not, dude, because I don't know where we are in your timeline, but there were weird shit happening. Like, because I used to hang out with her a lot,
That's true.
and there
That
was
is true.
weird shit happening the whole time. Like,
But honestly, there's also the very strong possibility the rose colored glasses where you ignore the shit that's going on.
oh, most certainly were, because you most certainly were.
Because we did have a lot of random fights. Like one of the things I found out she would do, like she would message some of my friends that were women on Facebook as me, and I guess she would tell them all kinds of dirty stuff, which makes me because there was one random moment where I was out at the gym and suddenly this girl that I hadn't talked to in at least a year, she wasn't working at the hospitals. I haven't seen her in a while. And all of a sudden she had text messaged me or messaged me on Facebook Messenger. And she was like, "Oh, I miss you. Remember the fun we used to have hanging out?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then she started talking about all this other stuff. And I was like, "Well, I'm in a relationship now." And she's like, "Oh, yeah." But it just like her reaction to the way I was talking seemed skewed from what was going on. So I think that was my first cue of something is happening. So I think she was going into my Facebook account messaging. Well, I found that out for sure later on because
Well, I knew for sure she was doing that because the first time, I don't know how long you had an idea about it, but she did it at our house in front of us. It was supposed to be, I think it was Valentine's Day.
no, it was St. Patrick's Day
Oh yeah, it was one of those.
because it was funny because you were having a St. Patrick's Day thing. I had to work, and I remember getting a bunch of messages from you and mom because she was crying and it was a big old ordeal. Because I don't know, I guess
She was all like, Justin's messaging girls and uh all this shit, and then like I don't know who was watching her at the time, if it was me or Deborah, or I think Sammy was there. And she was like, "Yeah, she was on your brother's thing." And then it was like, and then we were like, kind of, I don't know, paying attention to her. And
yeah.
it was just like, dude, like it's totally her. She's sending the messages, and then we were just like, what the fuck? Why would she do? Why would she do that? I'm like, we're all sitting here trying to have a lovely time,
Yeah, that was like
and she just started crying, and she was like, Justin's messaging other girls. And we were all just like, okay. And then she's like showing us, and of course, it's like showing that he messaged to this one chick, and then it was just like, okay. And then like, I don't know, we were just paying attention to her, and she was just like, yeah, she was
and I
on your Facebook,
and I think that
in
was
your Facebook.
I think that was the same person that sent me the message a few weeks earlier that seemed a little like she wanted to meet up and have a little, time. And I was like talking to her nice. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in a relationship now, so it's not gonna happen." And then she quit messaging me. I hadn't heard anything from her ever again. So I'm just taking a wild guess, and she went through there and sent her whatever messages, but I have no idea what she sent her. They gave her a different idea.
Oh yeah, because I think she was like, um, I can't remember. I really don't remember how we like could tell that she was the one sending them. I think it was the time. I don't know, but she was just like she was trying to pretend like she stumbled across them or whatever, and then like I don't know, times weren't adding up and stuff and everything, and then she was just like the whole thing. We were just like, well, what the fuck? And then that whole night, like everybody was just trying to comfort her and be like, no, I'm sure it's like nothing. And like the texts were all like, I can't even remember what the texts were, but it was like, yeah, if you found out your boyfriend was getting this shit, you'd or texting this shit out, you'd be pissed too. But
Yeah.
it was just weird. It was so weird.
Sorry, I had to approve something because apparently in the Twitch honky was considered a foul term. So good old honky music. This dude sounds like a type of EMR who would stick his fingers in my mouth. Yeah, well, EMT. Yeah, there's some other stuff that happened with this individual later on who's not with us anymore. That honestly, I look back at that poor man's life and the fact that he had married Becky's mother. I can see why he was trying to do everything he can to do something to make his life felt. I don't know. The way Becky's mother treated that man was terrible. She's a terrible, terrible person. That person, we can shit on her all we want. She's a terrible fucking person. She is one of the worst fucking people I've ever met in my life. She is the quintessential Karen. She has, I am pretty sure she is faking a bunch of stuff to get multiple counts of workman's compensation. There's a lot of things she's done that is very sketchy that I'm pretty sure are multiple federal crimes. Because there's a lot of weird situations in how she got money that don't add up that I witnessed firsthand, but I can't necessarily prove anything. So we're just gonna go with Becky's mother is possibly doing some serious federal crimes for money laundering and extortion, maybe even some embezzling. I don't know. But there's a lot of weird shit that went on. I don't know for sure, but just a lot of red flags were raised in the situation. But yeah, so because I had to come home from work and deal with this situation. She was crying and carrying on. And it was a big old thing. And I remember everybody was upset. They were just like, what the fuck's going on? This is some bullshit. Oh, I'm sure she would slurp up some of that. She definitely, I'm sure she's got MAGA tattoo on her ass. But so after that little incident happened, then there was a bunch of weird fights. Uh, her Becky's mom encouraged her to see a specific therapist that suddenly started prescribing enormous amounts of Seroquel and Zyprexa and all kinds of stuff. And I would come home from work. She would have drank an entire 30 pack that I bought. Half of her Seroquel would be gone. And she'd be like gorked out of her fucking mind. And it would go on like this. I had to start locking stuff up. I had to keep changing the combination lock, because she would sneak into it and start stealing Seroquel. And her mom would keep saying, "Oh, we need to keep an eye on her. She gets into drugs." But then, yet every time like Becky would have like a headache, she's like, "Oh, would you like two oxys?" Like, you created the drug problem. And like, so we would help Becky would get through her her disordered eating phase and she'd be doing good. And all of a sudden, Becky's mom walks by and suddenly she's like, "You're gaining a lot of weight." And then shit would go off the rails again. It was just those were the least weird things that happened. Not to mention, too, at some point, like I started buying into so many of her lies. It drove a huge like me and the ex-wife were already having issues, you know, and she realized I was stressing about so many things, and she started adding lie upon lie upon lie that I actually started believing. It ended up being a bunch of court cases, a bunch of battling, and it there was a bunch of unnecessary shit that was happening. The weird shit that would happen with the kids sometimes when she'd be taking all the Seroquel and going through 30 packs. I remember one time I was getting ready to go to work. I was getting ready to go to work, and she was like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna be bored, and the kids aren't here. You know, why don't you get me some beer so I could drink? You know, my cousin's gonna come over and we'll hang out, and I'll be chill." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't have time. I gotta go to work." And she just kept bugging me and bugging me. So finally, I ran to the store. I got a 30 pack. I put it in the fridge. She drank all of it with her cousin. And I told her that day, I was when I get home, I'm gonna go hit the gym. I haven't been to the gym in a long time. I really like going to the gym. You remember me. I remember my gym rat phase. I loved the gym. It was like the one place I got to unwind. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna change my clothes, go to the gym for an hour, and I'll be back." She was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I get home. I throw on my gym clothes. I'm tying my shoes. And she looks at me. She's drunk as shit. I'm sure she probably took a couple of Seroquels because she was like extra slurry. And she's like, "Oh,
N-word? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah." So she looks at me and she's like, "Oh, so you just don't like spending time with me now, do you?" And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Oh, yeah. You just get home from work and suddenly you want to go to the gym? You don't like," and I was like, "Oh, I told you this like this morning, even yesterday. I wanted to go to the gym. I haven't been in a long time." I was like, "Oh, you know, it's not about spending time with you. I just want to get some fitness in. I just want to, go to the gym. It makes me feel good." And she's like, "Oh, I just don't think you want to spend time with me." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, do you want to go with me? We can." You remember when we used to go to the gym all the time together. And she's like, "Oh, so now I'm fat. I'm so fucking fat because I'm drinking that I can't. I got to go to the gym with you. I got to lose some weight. You don't like this fat ass?" And I'm like, no, I just you don't want me to leave you here by yourself. So do you want to go with me? I mean, we'll still spend time together, or I can just go and I'll be back in an hour. Oh, so you don't want to see me and I'm fat. I see how it is. And then she just goes off on this rant, and I'm like, I just want to go to the gym and I'll be back. Next thing you know, it's a big thing. She starts trying to choke me. I'm just standing there. Somehow I end up in the corner by the TV, and she's just trying to choke me, and I'm like, no, just what is going on here? Like I even asked her, go, what is going on? Why are you upset? I just I'm gonna go to the gym. It's been a long day. I'll be back in an hour. Why is I don't think you're fat. You just I want you to spend time with me. And then since she goes off on this whole thing, she starts going, "Well, I'm a piece of shit. You should just hit me." I'm like, why would I hit you? I don't I'm not following what's going on here. I I don't hit why are you demanding that I hit you? This is not a thing. I would just like you to calm down, watch some TV, and I'll be back in an hour. That's what I'm looking for. It became this whole thing. There was crying, there was screaming. She threw shit at me. She tried to choke me in the corner. And I was confused. And then finally the fight ends. It is now 4 o'clock in the fucking morning, so the gym is way out of the question. And it's a good thing I didn't have to go to work the next day, so then I just went to bed. And the next day she wakes up like everything's fine. Nothing ever happened. Then a week later, I come home and the kitchen, like, this is when we were living in a pretty nice house in a nice neighborhood. We had a dishwasher, guys. Fucking dishwasher. I haven't had a dishwasher in my house in years. I come home and there's just bowls, several bowls of Mountain Dew just sitting on the counters. And I'm like, why is there bowls of Mountain Dew on the counter? And she was like, I couldn't find any of the cups. I'm like, they're in the dishwasher. If it didn't get run, just run the dishwasher. We got cups. Bowls of Mountain Dew, and the kids are just drinking out of bowls. Bowls of Mountain Dew. Like, at first I yelled at the kids. I'm like, why did you put all the Mountain Dew in the bowls? She's like, oh, did it. And I came in. That's what it's called. What? Oh shit! Did I use her real name?
You most certainly did, sir. And I
God
knew
damn.
you would. It was like, if I don't, you will.
Oh fuck! I'm gonna have timestamp that. Becky. Ugh.
Yes, sir, Becky, you're a fine gal. What a good wife.
Becky. Becky. Yeah, fell. Becky fell them off with Mountain Dew. Sorry. You got. She she they were like, oh, she filled them up with Mountain Dew. Hang on. I didn't make a mental note. I need to make a note. I need to make a note. All right. A note's made. Yes, it'll take a while. But anyways, she after the kids told me about that whole situation, I was like, God damn it. I asked her about it and she was like, yeah, we were out of cups. And that was the whole thing. I don't even know how to get to the real stuff. I just remember one time. Actually, I remember one time. So every time I worked with a female woman, opposite sex, there was just certain women that I'd work with, and I would get text messages nonstop. Like, we'd be running our asses off on calls, and I get messages saying, "I hope you're having fun fucking your partner," and I'm like, I'm at work. But during this time, it was December 2012, and I even found some of the conversation. And I remember having to go to the hospital. Apparently, I was septic as shit because I was working ridiculous amounts of hours. I was working like averaging between 80 and 100 hours every week. 24s, 36s, 72-hour shifts. It was just nuts. I was working too much. And I remember ending up septic and in the hospital for a week. And when I got out of the hospital, I was kind of upset with some people that I was close to at work. And I asked them, why don't you come see me at the hospital? And majority of the answers I got, because a lot of the friends that I have are women. I don't know why. I get along really well with women, and most of them are women that are my friends. And most of them didn't want to come and see me at the hospital because they knew how Becky would react because they had seen the nonsense that would happen when I'd be working with them. So only two people that I was close friends with saw me in the hospital when I was there for a week on some pretty heavy duty IV antibiotics because she was there. And I remember at one point I was there and I was gorked out of my mind. They had me on fentanyl, they had me on morphine, they had me on so many pain meds, and I was trying to tell them I wanted something different. And she stepped in and said I needed Dilaudid, and I was so gorked out. They gave me freaking Dilaudid. I was so gorked out of my mind. It was nuts. So I waited for all the stuff to wear off. I took my fentanyl patch off and I sobered up enough and I said, no, I need something weaker. I said, I don't want to be this messed up. Then they finally gave me some like Toradol, some naproxen, something less aggressive because Dilaudid is too fucking much. It was too much. Just because she wanted Dilaudid, she insisted that I get Dilaudid. It was harsh. It was harsh. I just and then like I kind of felt bad because I was mad at so many people because they didn't want to come see me at the hospital. And it wasn't because they didn't want to come see me. It's because if they came and saw me, there'd be this huge fucking fight. Ugh, it was too much. It was too much, man. It was way too fucking much. It was too much. And I was pretty sick. I remember at one point in the hospital, I remember going to the bathroom and I still felt like shit. They were my third antibiotic. I remember looking at the mirror and going, well, fuck. I guess this is how it ends. And luckily, that is not how it ended. I ended up getting better later on. But Jesus Christ. It was it was bad. Because I remember walking into the ER and like a bunch of nurses were concerned for my because I looked so bad when I came in. I had a fever of 105. I think it was like 105.6, something like that. It was bad. It was really bad. And honestly, it was all because of an ingrown hair on my ball sack that I ignored and it festered and then got into my lymph nodes. And it was all because I was busy trying to work to provide a roof over our heads. Folks, if you got an ingrown hair on your ball sack, get it looked at if you really need to. Like, things can go awry from the
The
simplest
more
thing.
you know.
Yeah, dude, it was nuts. I don't know if this came in before I said it, but yeah, it was legitimately an ingrown hair on my ball sack that I pulled the hair out, but I think the tweezers I used weren't clean enough, and it made the infection spread, and then ended up on the side of my leg and got into my lymph nodes. It was bad. It was painful. It was. It sucked so bad because I'd even gone to the doctor the week before. Yeah. Sometimes shaving your junk isn't worth it. It, it look, man, it happened. So I'm trying to build to the bigger stories. Like when Brandy went to the hospital. God damn it. Becky went to the hospital.
It's a Becky, you're a fine girl.
When Becky went to the hospital. Fuck. I just want you to know the replay of this on Twitch is going to be taken down immediately and edited and then put back up under a highlight.
So clip it now. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So I got out of the hospital. Everything was going okay. There's been things back and forth. But one day, I don't know, in the wee hours of the night, yeah, pretty much it. But at one night, she wakes me up saying she's vomiting blood. There's a whole thing. We go to the hospital. She ends up admitted. She's in the ICU. And I'm worried. She's going through all these tests. I spend I called off for work multiple days in a row so I could stay by her side. At some point, I ended up having to go back to work because I was out of uh, PTO because I still had to, have the roof over our head. So I started just staying with her in between the days I had to work because I think I was working 24s at the time. And I'm worried sick, I know all her history and all the stuff. I'm worried that she fucked herself up and she's gonna die. So one night I'm staying with her in the hospital and I'm asleep on one of their little like recliner things with my feet up on another chair. Like they didn't have the actual ones that fold down into a bed because they were all used up. So I had to makeshift a bed and I'm laying there dead ass asleep and suddenly I get woken up. Becky's in the little bathroom thing. There's a curtain and there's all kinds of chaos going on. The nurse is yelling. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And apparently she had went into the bathroom and somehow got a syringe or something and pulled up blood from her IV and was drinking it in the bathroom. And the nurse came in and yelled at me saying I was doing this and that and the other thing. And I'm sitting there going, wait, what the fuck's going on? And they yelled at me. They kicked me out. They had her secluded. There was nobody else that was allowed to come and see her. It was this whole fucking thing. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, she was drinking blood from her IV. And at the time, like, I wasn't sure what was going on. I'm half asleep. She's trying to tell me it was just a mistake. She got tangled up and whatever. The nurse is saying one thing, she's saying another thing. I don't know what's going on. But the next day, I made an appointment with like the head of the nursing of that department and everything. And there was this whole thing. I had a big meeting. I was chewing people out, saying they're accusing me of this and that. I don't even know what's going on. I came to her defense, saying that she wasn't doing that. I put my reputation on the line. And then a week later, we take her to one of the other hospitals. And a nurse that works there, that's a mutual to both of us that we know, and she's looking at the x-rays and they notice there's something that looks a lot like nails in the abdomen X-ray and the CT. And she was like, "Does she have something in her pocket?" So I go in there and I check to make sure she didn't have anything in her pockets or anything. Apparently, while she was staying at her mom's house, she had swallowed a handful of nails. A handful of nails. A handful of nails. Those little, like those small like nails that you use for a picture frame. There was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 that she had swallowed. She ended up in the ICU again under suicide watch. And as a matter of fact, actually, there was a time when she ended up on the psych ward somewhere else. That was before the nail situation. I come and see her, and that was for her disordered eating. But yes, she had swallowed a handful of nails. Then shortly after that is when we had separated and she started staying at her mom's house, and that was a whole big thing. It was a big old thing because I wasn't. It was just a whole thing.
That whole part was crazy for me because she had already done so much to fuck so much. Like, I understand, okay, like, obviously, clearly, as everybody's hearing the story, everybody's like mental illness at its best, you know? But, like, um, yeah, that was crazy to watch because she did a lot of things. And you just were like, yeah, so whatever. Like, that happened. Like, there was like a fake pregnancy for a second. There was like there were so many things that she did. Like,
I think there was 2 fake pregnancies.
because you called and were like, I guess like after you had your vasectomy and you called and you were just like, well, I guess I'm gonna be a dad again. And we were all just like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
Ugh.
what the fuck is happening? I think like because in the beginning everybody was like they're living together and they've been together for a week. What the fuck? And
Yeah,
then she seemed nice enough. We were all happy that you had somebody after the divorce. Um so that, you know. And then she did come off relatively sane in the beginning too.
yeah. It was like a slow creaking of a door, and then suddenly it was just kicked open, and everything came out at all at once.
For me, it felt like a very slow, like it was like she's crazy. Okay, we've got that. Like she's crazy, and then it was just like waiting for you to figure out what how long you were going to deal with that.
Yeah,
Like an
and
outsider looking in was just like, this is not going to end well.
well,
Like,
and part of it too. There was parts too. Like I said, there was moments where, like I said, if she was around her family, that's when the crazy was at full steam. When she was fighting with her family and they weren't talking to each other, that's when suddenly things calmed down. Like every time, like when things were going good, it's because she wasn't talking to her mom.
'cause I hung out with her a lot. And like in the beginning, it was just like because I was 17, she was 18, so like we weren't that far off. Apparently, we went to school together, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Well, she was born in '92.
And I was born in '93, so a year off.
Yep.
But
I know it doesn't sound real. If I was listening to the stuff that was happening, I wouldn't believe it. But I had to experience it firsthand.
it
And
was
it
it
was
was it was pretty crazy because everybody was just watching this like obviously toxic thing go down, and she's like nuts, and everybody's telling him he's nuts, and he's just not believing she's nuts.
well, part of it too is not necessarily me not believing she's nuts. There's also the part of me also being like, I can help her through these things. And because there was times, like I said, if she wasn't around her family, things were good. As soon as she got around her family, that's when all the real bad shit started happening. And it kept going on and on like that for too long. Then, like I said, we broke up after the nail situation. She went back to her mom's house. And then one fateful summer day, I was at one of my friends' weddings. It's always the fucking weddings that get you. Yeah, I was Captain Save a Ho. So I'm at this wedding. I'm there with my closest friends from work. And one of those friends had also just gone through a big breakup. And I was there, and people are whatever. And all of a sudden, I get a text message from her. The summer of 2013. She text messages me, and she was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm at my friend's wedding, yada yada yada." She's like, "Oh, well, what are you doing afterwards?" And anyways, we ended up making plans. We got back together that night. She had came to my house. You know, there was a romp. Next thing you know, she's moving back in with me. And that was a whole crazy thing because I went to go pick up her stuff from her house, and her mom came and rammed her vehicle and hit my vehicle over some other shit. The cops were called, but it was a whole fucking thing. And there was some screaming. She said, "Don't ever come back. I don't want to see you again." So then I got stuck with her again. So, second time, I'm pretty sure I was duped into the situation. Oh, fucking A. It was a trap. So
It's
we
not a
get
trap,
together.
Dustin. You already knew the situation. I would
And
have hoped you knew the situation.
also, during this time that me and Becky were separated, I had worked things out. Me and the ex were friends again. I was friends with Ian again. We were hanging out. So then Becky started hanging out with us, and everything was okay in the beginning. And then one Halloween night, 'cause that was my best, that's my friend's birthday is on Halloween. I would always let her do whatever the fuck she wants. She wants to go out and have fun with her cousins and her friends. Fine. You know, I'm cool with it. So I went out with my friend. We go to Q time. We're having a good time. We're drinking. We're playing pool. We're talking. We're laughing. It's a good time. I'm dressed like Stan from American Dad. I pulled it off perfectly because at the time I was the right amount of fat and the right amount of buff. And my hair was jet black. The hardest thing to find was the USA pin, but I found one. I looked good. I liked it. It was solid. We're having a good time playing pool. It's lots of fun. We're hanging out with people. It's time to go home. So this is a Sunday night. This is a Sunday night. We're partying. We're drinking. It's a good time. Becky and the ex and a couple other people are kind of chilling. They took the kids trick or treating, doing all this stuff. I'm having a good time with my friend celebrating his birthday. At the end of the night, we go home. It's late. The bar's closing. We end up crashing at my ex-wife's house, which is a whole other complicated situation. But we get along now. We're friends. But we crashed there because I was too drunk to drive home. And I don't know. I think Becky started drinking while they were taking the kids trick or treating because that's always a possibility. So we pass out in the morning since the kids go to school right down the street from my house. We we take the kids to school. I'm still mildly buzzed. She's throwing a tantrum because I went out with my friend. And she starts yelling at me because I left her, on her own. I don't want to spend time with her. It was this whole thing. And at that time, I'm like borderline still drunk, hungover, and dick mode kicks in. I'm just frustrated because I let her go out with her friends. I buy her 30 packs and she chokes me in the corner. whatever. So we're on our way. We just dropped the kids off at school. And she starts going off on this tangent. And my dick mode kicks in. And I start going, I don't care. I don't care. Everything she said, I don't care. So then she looks at me and she says, well, I'm going to fucking jump out of this truck. And I went, I don't care. Next thing you know, she jumped out of the fucking truck. She jumped out of the fucking truck, hit the ground. Now, we're still right in front of the school. We just came out of the school zone. She jumps out of the fucking truck, hits her head on the ground. She is only wearing my shirt. She hit and some high heels. She hits the ground. Her shoes go this way. Shoes go that way. The shirt busts open. She's laying in middle of the street, butt ass naked. The principal of the school comes out. The kids had just gone inside. I think somebody else in my window. I think it's the kids. No, she jumped and flopped. She jumped out. Granted, like I said, we just came out of school zone, so we're going very fast. But she hits the ground. We gotta call the ambulance, the fire department, the police, all the people I know and work with. They're like, "Oh, what's going on?" I said, "She jumped out of the fucking truck." I tell them we got an argument. She goes to the hospital. I go back home because I am just I'm beside myself. I couldn't deal with what's going on. I'm like, she jumped out of the truck, she's butt ass naked. Like everything just happened. Luckily, the kids had already gone inside. So it was just kind of like the school crossing. It was mostly just administration. It was a whole fucking thing. She goes off to the hospital with two guys that I'm close with at work. They get to the hospital. I go home. I go back to sleep. Several hours later, I sleep it off. I get up. I go to the hospital. I talk to her. I'm like, look, this is some fucked up shit. I don't know what to do with it. What? I'm doing the podcast.
Why?
Because I do the podcast Monday nights. But go on. I'm in the middle of a story.
I love you guys.
Love you too. So I go to the hospital. I talk to her. I just basically say, this is some serious shit. We need to figure things out. And then I go back home, go back to sleep. No, actually, did I take her home? Or did she get a ride home? I don't know. She ends up back at home somehow. I don't remember how we got her home. That's irrelevant. Like a couple weeks later, I'm finally just like, I look at her one day after another fight, and I just say, I'm done. I can't do anything else. I'm exhausted. All my emotions are drained. I have no idea how to deal with this anymore. I'm done. I can't do anything. And then that's when she goes off. She gets pissed. She starts screaming at me. She's telling me I'm the best thing that ever happened to her. And it was just a whole fucking thing. But I was just exhausted and I couldn't do anything anymore. And that was the last time I had seen her until about a couple years ago. She decided she messaged me on Facebook. But but the thing is, when she came and moved her stuff out, she went through my important papers drawer and threw away a bunch of stuff that I needed for later on. I had a bunch of important paperwork that's long gone that I'll never see again. But then, like I said, she messaged me a couple years later, telling me about how terrible her family is and she needs to get out. And I told her, look, I'm sorry to hear that. If you want to talk, I will talk about things, but I can't take you back. Never once mentioned where I lived because I had to move. I forgot to mention this. There was a point I think I talked about last week. I had to move from my house because she would just drive by in her mom's truck and just drive back and forth in front of the house. I'd moved 3 times since then, and I'm not letting her know where I live now. But it was an experiment. It was an experience and it was an experiment. I just
Well, it was crazy to see. Because
no.
seriously, when you took her back, I was like, this fucking idiot. It
Yeah,
was like she's already done so much. Because like honestly, when the whole um when she was in the hospital and you were like fighting for her and all that shit, like uh getting in fights, making accusations against other colleagues in her name and shit, like I mean, you don't necessarily work with the doctors, but you work with the doctors,
yeah,
and you like, yeah, you put your neck really far out there, like as far like in your career for this lady,
yeah.
and yeah, it all turned out to be just bullshit. And I was just like, surely that has to be the end. Like, surely. I'm
I,
like, she's already done things to fuck with your kids, to fuck with me, to fuck with like everyone. That has to be it. Now she's coming for your bread and butter, baby. Like, that's got to be the fucking end. And then when you start dating her again, I was like, I'm done. That's crazy.
yeah.
That is fucking crazy. I was like,
Oh, I
mom
totally.
was thought I was like, don't bring her back to this house because she had that was like after the vacation and she already had stolen all my Adderall and all that shit.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the vacation thing too. I didn't even tell that story where she got drunk and puked all over the bed. I think did I tell it last week. I don't
You
remember,
kind of got into it, but you didn't like go into details.
but
Because
she
first
had
of all, the vacation was already fucked up because it was supposed to be us girls like in the beginning, and then you were gonna come up with the kids. Um, then she was like, "Well, it's okay." Kurt was like, "Well, I want to go," and then Brandy was like, "Well, it's okay if Kurt comes." And then like Grandma was all like, "Well, you can't bring one grandchild and not the other one." So then all the kids ended up coming, and I was already pissed because I already knew she wasn't gonna watch a single one.
yeah,
Like she had already been talking about like because the thing too, she was like, "Did you bring your Adderall? Did you bring your Adderall?" And I was like, "No, I left it at home because for me, my relationship with Adderall was like, I'm gonna take a break, you know? Like there's
yeah,
no reason for me to be that keyed in on vacation. Like, I don't
yeah,
need to do that. So she was already like, "Ugh, like you fucked this up, like, because I didn't bring my Adderall." And I was just like, okay. So I was already annoyed about that. And then all the grandchildren ended up coming, and I was like, great. Now we're just gonna be watching kids this whole like part. And I was like, I'm gonna be watching her. She's made it clear that she's already like done. She's already like in party mode.
yeah.
And then I was like, I was pissed. And I was also getting drunk too. And I was just like annoyed. And then yeah, I just remember the I didn't even know she threw up in your bed
Oh, yeah. That
until
was
afterwards because I like he had to drive in after work to get there. And he comes to the fucking place and she's thrown up all over the bed.
no,
Like,
no, no. This is what happened. So I worked a night shift. I got off of work and then I drove up there. I worked all night, got home, got my stuff, showered, blah blah blah, and headed up there with no sleep. Got there, we chilled because it was in the evening. Chilled out for a little bit. She got drunk as shit that night. she just kept drinking, and I guess she was sneaking even more drinks after that. And we were laying in bed, and I was falling asleep, and then she just starts puking everywhere. So she's butt ass naked, puking all over the place. So she pukes all over the bed and everything. So I'm pissed at that point. So I take off all the blankets, the sheets, and everything, move those off. We had like the shitty blanket that you take off the bed, it's all scratchy. We had to use that for a regular blanket. And the one sheet that wasn't ruined was like a spare flat sheet that I had to take from one of the kids' rooms, and we had to sleep on that. But she puked all over everything. And I just remember at one point I was mad, and she's just puking everywhere. So I pick her up, carry her to the bathroom. She's butt ass naked. And I just remember as I'm carrying her across, Kurt opens the door and sees me carrying her to the shower, butt ass naked, to put her in the shower so we can clean her up and hopefully sober her up, give her some water, do all that shit. So I have to take her in there, and literally Kurt's just watching this happen. And that's what just got me the most. I just remember Kurt just happened to be open the door and see me carrying her on my shoulder to the bathroom. So I had to go in there. I had to hold her up in the shower, and she's being all fuck you, mad at me because I'm making her shower, because she's also got puke all over herself. It's in her hair. So I'm trying to get her showered up, make her sit down. We get some clothes. Well, we got some clothes on her, had her sit down, drink something, eat something. I straighten everything up, move everything over, put it in the corner, and then finally we get to go to sleep. By this time, it's like 3:00 in the fucking morning. I'm dead ass fucking tired. And I was just fucking pissed. So she wakes up in the morning and she's all upset that she peeked all the blankets and she doesn't know what to do. And I said, "You're going to take all the blankets and you're going to go to the office and tell them you need new stuff because you puked on the blankets." And she was trying to get me to do it. And I said, "Fuck no, you're going to go do this." So finally she takes everything over there, and she still pulled the cop out that one of the kids got sick. And I was like, whatever. Either way, you need to take care of this. So the rest of the time we were up there for the weekend, she didn't drink much. I'd say much, but because I was so pissed.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I remember sitting down with you guys and we were fucked up because I don't think it was the same night. It might have been the same night. But and just being like, y'all need a prenup because he also forgot they were engaged.
Oh yeah, we didn't get
That
engaged
was
at
a
one
thing.
point. Yeah, we were engaged at one point too.
That's very important because when they broke up, I don't know. It was crazy to watch you just like kind of like blow after blow, just kind of brush shit off and be like, well, I'm just accepting that this is happening in my life. And this is like, you put up with a lot of shit.
But see, here's the thing that happened is after her, I never had a relationship that lasted more than 3 months. Because every time things would get serious, I would like back out of the relationship or I would panic. It's not until I've met Dominique that I have finally, one, worked on myself enough to get through it. Two, found somebody that's just a fantastic person to be around. Like, this is the best relationship I've ever had. And it's just, this is the first relationship where I felt legitimately loved and cared for. And I feel like there's a definitely give and take. Like, I feel like in our relationship, there's not a I need to be with you. It's a I want to be with you. And that is a huge, huge difference. I don't think people think this whole idea of a need to be with somebody is love. No, it's you want to be with that person. You don't have this burning desire that you need this person around you at all fucking moments. It's you want to spend time with them. You enjoy their company. Even when things aren't great, there's still something special there. And it has taken me 2013 is when this ended. It has been almost 10 years. It was so it was 2021. It was 2020 when we started talking, but this is the longest relationship I've had since 2013. And like I said last week, I said we were in a relationship for 5 years. No, it was 2 years broken up. The first one was like a year and a half, and then another. It was just short of 2-year relationship, but it felt like a 5 to 6 year relationship.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I had my issues with her. Like, yeah, she did some fucked up things to me. Besides the, it
Well,
was crazy. I hated her. I hated her for a long time. Like,
the thing
I
is
eventually just forgot about her. But like, she was an active hate. I felt for a while.
yeah. The thing is I don't hate her. I actually hope all the best for her.
Well, I don't hate her now. I ain't got the time. But
And, and honestly, I just hope that she's gotten through some of the harsh stuff that's happened in her life and she's moved on, and hopefully she's over her eating disorders and her substance abuse. I hope she's doing something great with her life. I don't talk to her anymore. Like I said, she messaged me that one time, I guess hoping that I'd take her back, and I was like, no. I didn't even give her an inkling of where I might live. I
yeah,
just said,
when you told me that she messaged you, I was like, if this fucking happens again, I don't
yeah.
know.
The only thing I told her is, if you need somebody to talk to, I will talk to you, but I cannot take you back. I got too much to do in my life. There was a lot of stuff that happened with the kid. Like before her, me and the kids had a solid relationship. After her, there was some stuff that we had to work on, and we have finally, I think, moved past a lot of stuff. And it just,
Yeah, I felt so bad for Matthew because he kind of got attached to her,
yeah.
and that was rough to see.
All I'm saying is the moral of the story is don't let your loneliness dictate your future. Know your worth, find a meaningful relationship. Don't just take the first relationship that comes along and thinking you're going to fix everything. Because that's kind of what happened with me. Is because I kept thinking, because there would be moments where things would get really good and then things would get really bad. And they would be like tenfold each time. Until the point where I had nothing left to give in a relationship, to where I just quit being actively involved in relationships. And I've met some other women that were fantastic, that were good people, that were good relationships for me and my kids. But I just dropped it because I was afraid to let everybody in. And I hurt them. And I feel bad about it. I feel like I hurt them because I didn't want to end up in that same place. I didn't want to let somebody in and then find out they're batshit crazy later on, or have some other division happen. And it just
I
it
think
it ruined a lot of
it's
good
not
relationships.
funny, but she also very much changed how I look at people. And she changed how I judge people and how I let people into my life because of this woman, like that you dated. Like she definitely changed my view on just people, like who you can trust and who you can't trust.
Yeah.
And like yeah, it was crazy because I feel bad for her because to some degree, like there was definitely a lot of mental illness and issues going on, and like I could relate to that at first until it started spilling into my life, and then and actively became her trying to do shit to fuck up my life, and that's when I was like, okay, like okay. And then when you were like round two, I was like, all right, well, I'm definitely not. If that's what you want to do, that's cool, but I can't do it.
I really should have let the round two thing never happen. But you know,
I mean, I'm not necessarily mad at you for it, and I get why it happens. Like shit happens. Like when I think about it, like I went back to like Sean, like in like all technicality, like that was over like 5 years of just on and off again shit. And every time we got back together, I just thought, well, time has passed. He's had to have grown. I've had to have grown. Like it's got to be different, right? And then every time it was the same old shit, and it was just like, and I acted surprised every single fucking time.
yeah.
So I'm like, it's I get the I don't know. And it's always easier too to go back to an ex because you already had that initial awkward, encounter of like the initial getting to know each other or whatever. It's like you kind of do fall back into some sort of something because you've already done this before, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I totally get going back to an ex, but I was like, she is something else. And
Oh,
honestly, I think about it and I'm like, you're lucky she didn't try to like, she wasn't the type to like try and nail you for some weird shit. Like I
well,
think back on that and I feel like you walked out of there so lucky she didn't try to like fuck up your life legally.
yeah. Well, remember that whole thing where she was like, "Oh, just hit me,"
Hmm.
and I was like, "No."
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I'm just like, yeah, you walked away pretty scot.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is because she would. I think she would. There was times when she would attack because she told me that more than once that she should be hit. She's a terrible woman, and I was like, "No, I don't hit women. Like, that's not what I do. I will yell at you. We can argue, but I'm not going to hit you."
Because I think about her and all the shit she pulled, and even like just messaging chicks pretending to be you. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
which is even a whole other bag of things of how many random nurses got weird messages from me.
Because in my head, I'm also like, honey, but you know it's not real, and you know he knows he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, do you think, right? Like, you weren't just like, oh, I'm sorry. You were like, you had to have been like, most certainly I did not send these. Like,
Yeah, I was like,
there's
"Oh,
no way
what
in
are you
hell I
talking
could have
about?"
sent these. It's just kind of crazy because I feel like in a weird way, as much as she was trying to like fool us, I was also like, but what was like the dude knows he didn't send them. Like, who, I mean, she got her intention. She got her attention.
I don't
But
know.
I'm like, in the back of our heads, we're all sitting there going like, this bitch is crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those. What is your end game?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was attention she got it, but like it was like we also had like an understanding that she was lying. So it's
Yeah,
like none of us were like, "Hey, I think you did that," but like all of us were like, "Well, but she's messaging from his profile trying to convince all of us that you did something bad." And I was like, we were supposed to be like friends at the time, and I'm like, did she think I was gonna like call you up and start yelling at you? Like, what did she want from us?
yeah. I don't know.
Because
I
I
don't
was
know.
like, well, that's fucked up. And then like we were talking, like Sammy and me and Deborah were talking about it, and then it was just like, oh yeah, like I was watching her and this happened and whatever. And then we were just like, holy shit, she's sending them herself. And then we were all just like, I just remember watching her cry. And there was a moment where she stopped crying and she just kind of like, I don't know what the look was, but it just made me so uncomfortable. And just being, and I just remember really being like, all right, this bitch is crazy.
I don't know. I'm just glad that that chapter is closed. This is the last time I'm opening it. And I dreaded this. I still feel like there's still lots of stuff that's been left out, but memory is a bitch. And so many things have happened. Now, I'm not going to say everything was bad. There were some good times, and I'm going to take those as those were good memories. And we're going to put them over there and be like, that's done. These bad memories are not going to hold you back anymore. This chapter's officially 100% closed. It's done with. Um, I dreaded this coming into this podcast. Like last night, I thought it would be fun to kind of get through some of this and talk about it. But as it was coming close, I felt very anxious about it. And I don't know. I feel a little bit better now. But I hope all the best for her. And I hope everything's going well for her. Hopefully she found a relationship that's not devastating to anybody and life is going good. And I just hope that everything that's going on in her life stays over there and I am over here and the two never intersect again.
Same.
That's like if I see her on the street, I can be like, "Hi," and continue going. And that's it. Nothing more, maybe some less. I just I just want the best for her, but I don't want to be in that kind of negative space anymore.
That's how I feel about all my exes. It's just like, like I wish them well, but I really don't want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be friends. I don't want you. I don't want
Well,
you near my life. And then and it's like one of them is tied to my life, regardless. It seems, but
yeah.
like
Well,
I can't
I'm
get rid of them.
there are
But
there are still many exes in my life that I'm still friends with and I can talk with. But this is one of those situations where I'm like, nope, we're good. Like like I said, when she messaged me that a while back saying that, you know, she needs to get out of that situation and kind of implying that she wants me to take her back. And I said, well, I'm sorry, you can't come live with me. You know, after I said that, I haven't heard from her since. And I said, if you need somebody to talk to, I can do that. I can message you, but that's it. I set my boundary and she didn't like it, and that was the end of it. And I hope I don't have to hear from her ever again.
I, she like I would see her around every once in a while, and I would just be like, I'd see her with a dude or something, and I would just be like, oh my god, just I wish him well. Well, pray for him on the spot. Fucking, you don't know what you got into, but it's none of my business.
Yeah, I just, I was not in the best time. I was not in the best set of mind when everything started with the late relationship, and loneliness can cause you to cloud your judgment.
Yeah, like our relationship, like mine and her relationship, was very much like I was drinking a lot at the time. She was drinking a lot at the time. Like, Yeah, we partied. And then I was like, yeah, I'll never let you guys break up. We're still going to be friends and it's going to be fucking fantastic. And then I was like, she just started doing shit to ruin my life. And I was like, see ya.
Yeah. I said I shouldn't have took her back the second time, but honestly, I think my feelings were clouded because it was at a wedding. You know
When
what I
you were
mean?
fucked up.
Actually, I wasn't. But
Oh,
you're at a wedding, you're seeing people, the lovingness, and you're thinking, you're thinking you want to have that, and then there was
you're such a romantic, Justin.
oh,
I would have blamed the alcohol.
it's one of those things, and you know I haven't been to a wedding since. No, that's a lie. I went to Vanessa's wedding, but at Vanessa's wedding, I had no thought of I should call up Brandy.
Yeah, yeah. I just think too because like when it first happened, all of us were just happy that you were like you had someone.
Yeah,
Like I think as like a support system, I think we were all just like, well, he seems to be happy. This is it's moving. They're moving in really quickly, but she seems like a nice enough gal. We
yes,
had no
I'm
reason to hate her.
I'm going to invite her to your wedding. It I don't know. It wasn't good, and I hope the best for her, and I hope she's worked out her issues. And that's honestly my final thought. I just I hope everything is good for her. I hope she's having the best life. I I do feel like I've gotten through the last bit of lingering nonsense that has happened. And you know what? Bam, it's over. You know what time it's for? It's time.
Did you
You know,
even drink any of your booze? I feel like you talk so much. I didn't.
oh no, this is empty. I didn't finish the whole bottle. Surprising. I have this much left of the bottle.
Yeah, I'm done.
But you know what? This is 8.5 ABV. It was $2.98. $2.98 at Walmart. It is time for a final review. How do you feel about oak leaf sweets? I mean, isn't that what life is all about? Bonding through trauma?
$3, I'll take it.
Oh, yeah. Honestly,
Name something. I'll take it. $3, cool.
a bottle of wine
Eight?
for,
That's not bad.
for $2.98. Yeah, and it tastes good. It tastes good.
I'd chill it. I wouldn't chill it because I didn't chill it, but it would
Yeah,
taste better cold.
it does taste pretty good chilled because I got the mini fridge.
Oh,
And
yeah.
actually, I put the last bit in the mini fridge, and it's delightful.
I think it would be more refreshing
Definitely
cold,
is.
but warm it's so. I don't like tropical flavors very much. So, but for this and what it is, I would say I don't know how do you judge this as a wrestler though? Like who is this?
It's not judging it as a particular wrestler. Now, granted, we have thrown
It,
particular wrestlers in the mix.
that's like my part of the whole thing. I can't I can only judge by like wrestlers because I
Well,
don't know what mean.
I can tell you for sure this is no Vince Russo,
No.
but it's delightful. I could drink like granted I have to skew my drunkenness because I did have to take 2 pre-shots
Had
because
to,
I was
had
anxious
to.
and
Just get.
I took an extra shot. So I'm way drunker than I should be. So I mean, I just okay, so our rating system, 5 out of 5 main eventer, 4 out of 5 is your upper mid card. 3 out of 5 is your mid card. 2 out of 5 is lower mid card. 1 out of 5 is jobber. And because of whatever we drank that one week, the social beverage, we introduced 0 out of 5 of Vince Russo. I definitely feel like we're above the lower mid card because this is a solid beverage. It's $2.98, so it's definitely worth the purchase. 8.5 ABV is on the weaker side of um, wines because
Was
when
that
I was
Hurricane a wrestler?
yeah the
He
Hurricane
had like green hair and like whatever.
yeah Shane Helms, the Hurricane.
Yeah, that's who I think it would be. So
He
what was
was.
he?
I mean,
He was very enjoyable,
he did beat The Rock.
and he showed up quite a bit. So what's that?
Why do you gotta bring up Bang? I just got over some serious trauma, and you want to bring Bang into this? Ugh. I just poured my heart out on
It's a
the
Carlito.
interweb. They did have an apple flavor.
Um,
So you're putting it in like the mid card. Although Shane Helms did kind of venture into the upper mid card when he beat The Rock. And Carlito kind of made it of upper mid card.
that's what I'm thinking.
Okay,
But
you
I
know what?
also am not. I'm not super. I think this is. I mean, I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good, but I also smoked a little bit, so I'm enjoying life. But
And you watch me divulge a bunch of information about my private life.
yeah, yeah. Well, it got a little stressful, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna smoke a little bit.
Enough with the Bang seltzers, for fuck's sake. There's enough trauma that happened in this podcast. Why must you bring up Bang seltzer? Ah, I poured my heart out.
then I shouldn't tell you that Becky was just a robot that we bought to help you get through
Oh, my.
your divorce.
Oh.
Turns out she was dysfunctional.
Turns out she had a glitch.
Whoopsie.
Japanese love dolls. Make sure you use energized battery. Don't cheap out and go with Rayovac.
Us as a family got together and we were like, dude, this guy needs to get laid. I can't stand his attitude anymore. And we and we bought you this thing, and it was very, what's the word? In trials. And yeah. Whoops.
Yeah, let's
I'm sorry it hurt you.
let's diminish all of the trauma into a joke because that's how life should be. You know what? I am in agreement. This whole time it's been a sex doll. It's a lie. It's been a sex doll the whole time. It's me, Austin. It's been me the whole time. It's been Vince McMahon. It was Vince McMahon the whole time.
All
But
I can
Diane,
say is I'm glad you're on the other side, brother.
yes, it was with an I. But you know what? Oakleaf Vineyards Sweets, you're a solid mid Carter. We made it through this podcast. Um, I only made a few mistakes in trying to, you know, conceal identities. I'm gonna try to remember to go edit them out. For sure on YouTube, it's gonna be edited out. I got some posts I got to go back and delete on Facebook so people can not find out who people are. Um, in the meantime, thank you for watching. This has been Best of the Bottom. We're bottom class people drinking bottom shelf booze. And I hope all of you out there are having a fulfilled, rewarding relationship. Because honestly, we're not on the earth for very long. And try to make the best of it. Find love, find your laughs, enjoy life the best you can, no matter who it's with. You know, just, don't cause other people pain and trauma, and we're good. Peace, love, and pineapples to you all. That's not a swing.
Real pineapples. Not pineapple flavored wine. It's not that bad.
I think it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Like I said, chill it though.
Yeah, it tastes good chilled. And you know what? I'm gonna put our socials here on the bottom. We have an Instagram at Bottom Class, Twitter at Bottom Class, TikTok at Bottom Class, and also an Instagram because me and my son have started a tattoo shop in El Paso, and it's Pink Street Tattoos and Piercings. You can see our Instagram down there at Pink Street, at pink_street_tattoos_piercings. You can see some of the work that we've done there. It's been great, and we love you guys. It's a lovely thing. We're live every Monday night at twitch.tv/bottom class. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, click the bell, get notifications going, join our family, and indulge in the chaos that is us. We love you guys. And we will see you next week. Tastes pretty good.